JEM is my name, no one else is the same. JEM is my name. JEM.
Granted, there are still 2 episodes left, but if you were to ask me right now, which reprised song is reprised the bestest, I would say that Outta My Way, from this episode, wins that award. Outta My Way is a very early song from the series. I think it's the first song in the series. I think that's the first song of the first episode. So, yeah. Outta My Way is reprised in this episode, and oh my heavens, the video that they came up with is hilarious. I mean, I laughed out loud several times. Also, something the show has been doing for the last several dozen episodes, is a lot of the time when it will intro a song, it will lead into a song with the song's refrain.
And since we have nothing else to do, let's make a little mischief.
We're making mischief, making mischief.
That's subtle. Even in this episode, Are You Feeling Alright is one of the Stingers' song, and it is prefixed with Riot literally asking Minx to her face, "Are you feeling alright?" Too Much is the JEM song, and she says, "Minx, it's just too much!" And then they hop into the Too Much song. Outta My Way, I think, has the smoothest intro into the song. It just flows much more naturally.
I'm telling you, for the last time,
Out of my way, keep out of my way, out of my way, I ain't playing around.
So kudos there, but oh my heavens, as I mentioned, music video's hilarious. It's essentially Pizzazz chasing Riot, who's chasing JEM. And Pizzazz trips over a crab, and then she trips over the limp lizards who are there on the beach doing a little photo shoot with themselves, which is fun. She falls into some poor kid's ice cream cones and gets ice cream on her glasses, and the kid's standing there, "Ah!" And her solution is to take off her glasses, which have globs of ice cream on the lenses, and just shove it in the little kid's face. And walks away. It's hilarious. JEM, who's running away from Riot, is like, "Oh gosh, help me, Synergy," and she turns into a surfboard to hide herself. And she's a surfboard, and there's some other surfboards, and what sells this gag is she, as a surfboard, just kind of scooch closer to the other surfboards. It's so funny. Oh my gosh, I love that music video. Well done, song reprisey team. Oh, and Clash is in the middle of the video somewhere. So haven't seen her in a few episodes. Looks like she's okay. She's on the beach, she's having fun, so nice to see that she's okay, because she was kind of down and out the last time we saw her, so nice to see you, Clash. But none of that has really anything to do with the entire episode. So this is a Minx episode. Minx spots Rio at some type of electronics convention checking out synthesizers, and she's like, "Ooh, I can hook Rio with a shared interest here." So she goes up and she's like, "Hey, I know all about synthesizers." And he's like, "Please go away." She's like, "No, I'm you want to build a synthesizer?" And he's like, "Yeah." It's like, "I can totally help you, because I'm like super genius when it comes to that." It's like, okay. She's like, "Here, give me your notebook. Look, if you do these she's writing out diagrams so he can build his own circuit board." And it's like, "Oh, this is amazing." And she says, "Hey, I can tell you more over lunch." And he's like, "Look, I appreciate the help, but I'm taken. I'm with Jerrica. In fact, here she is. We're going to the beach." And that's where the beach bit starts. And she walks up to Rio again. She's like, "Hey, Rio, want to play volleyball?" And he's like, "Look, for crying out loud, please go pester somebody else." And she harumps off and goes to swim in the ocean, gets caught by an undertow and pulled out to sea. And Rapture's like, "Oh no, Minx is drowning! Riot, help!" But Riot is fighting with JEM and Pizzazz. And so she goes to Rio, and Rio, Minx is drowning, you've got to save her. And he's like, "Oh my, for heaven's sake, if this is another scam to..." She's like, "No, really, seriously, she's drowning, please save her." And I'm thinking, there's a lifeguard station right there. Where's the lifeguard? You know, the person who guards life. Having a sandwich break, I guess. So Rio jumps in the water, saves Minx, gives her some CPR, well, just mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. She wakes up and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I owe you my life." And he's like, "No, you don't, just be careful." She's like, "No, I've changed. I will be good, and I will make up for all the harm I've caused." And he's like, "Yeah, just don't drown. That's really all we want." And so Riot and Rapture take her home. And the next day, Minx shows up at wherever the heck Rio is playing with the synthesizer. She's like, "I brought all my diagrams and I can help you with this." And Jerica walks in later and she's like, "Hi, Minx, Rio." And he says, "Yeah, it's weird. She seems to really want to turn over a new leaf." Jerica says, "I don't buy it." Says, "Yeah, I don't really either, but she's been here for a couple hours and not once has she made the moves on me. Or put the moves on me." So, that's the premise of this episode, is Minx has a near-death experience. Because of that, she seemingly turns over a new leaf and wants to be super helpful and friendly and make up for all the past harm she's caused. But does she really? Or is this just a scam to get in Rio's good graces? And there's two things this episode does extraordinarily well, in my very, very humble opinion. One is I love how continually skeptical all the characters are of her true intentions. Like, everyone wants to believe that she wants to be a nice person and has genuinely turned over a new leaf, and I guess it's possible, but really hard to buy. You know, I like the fact that the characters aren't super gullible. And I also like the fact that the show, as a viewer, I kept going back and forth on whether she was genuine or not. And I think that leads to, is indicative of very good writing. Because at first you're like, "Oh, okay, I see what she's doing. She's going to use this to try..." But then she goes back to the stingers Rapture is trying to... They're doing an interview, and Rapture's, "Oh, the mystic spirits, and I looked into the ancestry of Riot and his ancestry of kings." And Minx walks in and says, "Oh, you bought that at Target yesterday." And you're like, huh, she just screwed over the stingers. There's no reason for her to do that if this is a scam. Maybe she's really serious. So she goes back to Starlight, and Riot's like, "If you don't stop this malarkey, I'm gonna kick you out of the stingers." So she goes back to Rio. She's like, "Oh, the stingers hate me and I have nowhere to go." And Rio's like, "Kid, I sympathize, but I've got my own life and my own problems." "You hate me! I'm gonna go jump off the roof!" And so she takes the elevator up, and you're thinking, oh, okay, so maybe she's did this thing with the stingers just to create this situation where she's the victim to try and further ingratiate herself with Rio. And it goes back and forth like that throughout the episode, where you're just not sure if she's genuine with turning over a new leaf or not. And I like that. Well done show. So some of the other things. So she's helping Rio build a synthesizer, but she's like doing all of it herself. Because she's just, oh, here, do this, here, let me do it for you, because I'm really good at this, I'll do this for you. And she brings the Starlight kids a bunch of toys, squirt guns, and ice cream and stuff, and now the kids are all running around squirting each other and getting sick on ice cream, although I'd say that's, kind of on the guardians of the kids, you should be watching what they're eating, but... And she installs a burglar alarm, but they don't remember what the code is to turn it off, so they have to yank it out of the wall. And she gives Jerrica a massage. I'm sorry. She pays for a makeover for Jerrica. Facial hair, all that stuff at a salon. So Rio and JEM, via the song Too Much, say, look, we appreciate it, but it's too much. And she's like, well, then I'm going to take the synthesizer I built you and throw it off the roof. And she does. And she takes all the squirt guns back, and she squirts people with them, and then she stomps them into oblivion, and then she storms off. It is dangerous to diagnose people you don't know, especially when you're not qualified to do so, and probably double especially when we're talking about a fictional character, but Minx could possibly be bipolar. She seems to have some really extreme mood swings. She appears to be operating at either extreme of the spectrum and nowhere in between, so... Not diagnosing a fictional character, but Minx might want to get a professional evaluation at some point. Just saying, just putting that out there. Irresponsible of me, though that may be. So, Minx is back to her unhelpful self, and but. Yeah, that's the episode. I'm still wondering what the hell's with the squirt gun with the green goo. What is that?
You don't want my help? I'm driving you crazy?
Minx, what are you doing here?
I finished your synthesizer and I couldn't wait for you to see it, so I...
Finished it?